What's up, traders? This is Vee Trades, and today I will be doing a technical analysis breakdown for strategy B with the ticker symbol MSTR. I will first be going over what I see in the daily chart and finish the video off with the weekly chart. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Please trade at your own risk. So let's go over what the market participants are doing and where price is most likely headed next. So just to summarize before I even begin, the data is inconclusive. You can make a bullish case and a bearish case. I would say the bullish case is outweighing the bearish case, but not by much. So that's why there's a lot of indecision in the market. We're not really seeing aggressive buyers or aggressive sellers really step in at this moment. And I think we got to let this month leave us behind and let that month of April roll in, which historically it can be bullish. If you look at Bitcoin, back in 2017, April was a very bullish month in that 2017 bull market, whereas the prior 3 months were kind of neutral or bearish. So I think April, let's see if we get a rally then, or at least a move in the market, because the market is not really doing much for a volatile stock. So price is, I put this vertical line on the chart to indicate this was Monday, November 11th, 2024. And price was right around the low to mid 300s. So basically from like the 340 was where price closed at. And if you look at when MicroStrategy was at in their Bitcoin holdings back on the same date, November 11th, 2024, they had 279,420 Bitcoin. So let's just say 280,000. If you double it, that's 560,000. And right now they have 506,000. So just about what? 54,000 Bitcoin less than if you double it. So almost doubling, and we're at the same price as November 11th of 2024. So that just goes to show you fundamentally the company is stronger than what it was before. It has almost the double amount of Bitcoin, and it ran up to 540 when it did when it had less than half, or slightly more than half. And now we're right at the same price level. So basically, November 11th, MicroStrategy held 279,420 Bitcoin, and March 24 of 2025, 506,000 Bitcoin. And so that's almost a double, and we're at the same price level. So fundamentally, the company is stronger than what it was before. However, technicals can override the fundamentals, especially in the short term. And technically, there is a downward trend line in play. We got 1, 2, 3. You get the fourth touch right about there. So let me show you guys that right now. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can clone this to the downside and basically make a channel, but it's not really necessary right now. At the same time, there's a bullish trend line in play. So you see that price is getting pinched between these two trend lines, a bullish trend line and a bearish trend line. So we're not really seeing strong buying or selling off of these levels. So the market is indecisive. It's not sure. It's inconclusive, the data. However, we are also above support right about here. And there's a gap that can be filled at the 303 level, 304 level. So this is probably a potential drop in the works for MicroStrategy or strategy. But other than that, it's just wait and see. It's hard to say if this is going to break out towards the downside or the upside. I'm expecting a breakout to the upside. If you look at the macro, I think that can override the short-term price action. I think a lot of stocks. Just take a quick look at Bitcoin. You can see that it's also getting pinched between two trend lines as well. We got an upward sloping trend line, a downward sloping trend line. And basically, since when price dumped down lower back here in late February, price has just been going up and down between these two trend lines. It hit the bottom trend line, it went to the top trend line. It went down to the bottom trend line, it went to the top trend line. And now we're just stuck between these levels. And eventually, early April, like I've been saying, we come to an end. Just like over here, you see this trend line right about here where price broke out of it. Let's just say you didn't see any of this. We had an upper sloping trend line and a downward sloping trend line. And then right towards the inflection point, price eventually started breaking out. You see that price started breaking out on the bottom side of the trend line because it was coming to a point where it could not, eventually it would have to choose. See which one will win out. And there was a lot of indecision and consolidation before that. So we're seeing the same thing once again. a lot of indecision and consolidation before a breakout. And we'll see which way this breaks. It's hard to say which way. You can make a case for the bulls or the bears. Some people think we have topped in Bitcoin. Some people think we haven't. So which one is true? I believe we haven't. Why? Because you have to look at the macro as well. Macro is not really showing any signs of a top. Again, sometimes the short term can override the long term, but I think it's just still too early to call. If it is truly a 4-year cycle and Bitcoin's supposed to top out towards the end of the year, I mean, it's kind of premature to say that we have topped out already when you can't even give it till maybe halfway of the year, at least till maybe May, June, and see where price is at. I still think it's very early, premature. A lot of people are getting impatient. It's taking longer than expected, so that's natural to happen. MicroStrategy is holding up pretty well so far, but looking for a breakout. We need to see a breakout to the top side or the downside. In terms of holdings, MicroStrategy is still in the lead, which most likely will always be in the lead forever. It's not guaranteed, but most likely. And they're going to continue to increase these Bitcoin holdings. Looking for probably 650,000 by the end of the year, as I called out, I think early this year or even last year. So I think they'll probably get to 650,000. And then we're waiting for more companies to get on the list. GME, GameStop is going to be buying Bitcoin. They have not bought Bitcoin yet, but they said they're going to. So we'll see if they 100% do or not. So if they do and they buy 1.3 billion, which they have raised to buy Bitcoin, if they use that entire amount with an average price of 90,000 Bitcoin, they can acquire 14,444 Bitcoin. So 1.3 billion divided by 90,000 gives you 14,444. So that would put them in the top 5 Bitcoin treasury companies, which is pretty impressive. That sudden, right? Some of these companies like Tesla, Coinbase, Block, they're not really buying Bitcoin as much as Metaplanet or Semler or MicroStrategy. Even the mining companies, they continuously buy Bitcoin every month. But Tesla, I mean, they bought Bitcoin a long time ago, and they sold a large portion of it. And they just recently bought a small amount back in December. So they're not really, serious about it. Same thing with Coinbase. Not really serious about it either. Looks like last time they bought was 2022. So it's not a serious Bitcoin treasury company, but they haven't sold either, which is a good sign. And then Block, same thing, a little bit more serious, but not as much as other companies. So MicroStrategy most likely going to be continue dominating, and then GME is going to be probably in the top 5. I think maybe even probably the top 10 companies for Bitcoin holdings. So again, it's a battle, right? It's a war. These companies are going to continuously acquire Bitcoin. Some will sell, so don't think this is going to continue to just go up. Some will sell, some will not buy Bitcoin, but most of these companies will continue to buy Bitcoin, and then more will be added as well. So that just pumps up MicroStrategy's bags as well. So that's all I have for MicroStrategy in the daily chart. Basically, just wait and see. Today, very boring price action. Nothing really happening there. Looking at the log scale, just you can see it was a small little week after the prior couple weeks, and it looks like there's a gap that can be filled at the lower $300 level. Maybe we fill it, maybe we don't. Gaps aren't always filled. I'm pretty sure I can find a gap right over here. There's a gap right here at the start of the trend. Are we going to come back down to the $16 level? Probably never. It's not guaranteed, but probably not. This was the low in this cycle. So I don't think we're going to come back down to that even in this crash, if we do see one, and then in this cycle crash. So there's a gap over there. There's probably a bunch of gaps that are also not filled in this uptrend. So gaps aren't always filled. But either way, long-term chart still looks pretty bullish. Trend line there, trend line here, still above it. And we're just finding resistance from this downward sloping trend line right about here. So once we break through this downward sloping trend line, I think the correction is obviously over. I think it already has been over, me personally. And this is just a trap for the bears, because a lot of times price can bounce up, make a higher low, and then reverse higher. Exact same situation right here. You see that price did bounce off the trend line first. It went up, it came back down, but it did not come back down as far as that prior low. and then we saw the rally. So let's just replicate that. So if we copy that bars pattern, you copy this over, you drag this over. So let's say we do see another drop. Again, that'll take price down to the mid 200s off of that bullish trend line. I don't think we're going to go that far low, but let's just say, the high 200s, low 300s, and that'll be a higher low, setting up for a massive pump up higher once again. So this can, quickly rally once we get clear of that downward sloping trend line. So that's all I have for MicroStrategy on the daily weekly chart. Basically, the data is inconclusive, just not really seeing any strong buying, not seeing any strong selling. There is clues telling me we're ready to move up higher, but I think it's probably better just to wait for early April to see that happen. So that's all I have for MicroStrategy and daily weekly charts. This is Vee Trades, and thank you for your time.